Hello everyone, DIbz here, and today I have a guide to the best sniping spots in Overwatch as Widowmaker. Now note that Hanzo can also use the same spots as he is a sniper as well, but he works quite differently. I will go over each map currently in the map pool and talk mostly on defense, as snipers on offense tend to rely more on aiming skill, reflexes, and knowledge of popular defensive locations rather than having a location advantage themselves, which they do not usually have. Because of length, in this video I'll only cover Temple of Anubis, King's Row, Hanamura, and Watchpoint Gibraltar. As the map pool increases over time, I will add more to the video as a continued link. So first, let's quickly go over her basic moves. Her left click is an assault rifle that is most effective close to medium range, and her right click turns her rifle into a sniper rifle, best used for long distances. While in sniper mode, looking down the scope longer will increase the charges up to 3 and increase the sniping damage, meaning that you can have 10 fully charged shots, each causing 150 damage, since you have 30 bullets. Releasing the right click ability will reset the charge timer. Her shift ability is a hook that allows her to reach higher and farther places. You can also use this to launch yourself by pushing space right before you reach the top. This will allow you to get a further distance with it. Widowmaker's E ability is a poison mine that she shoots at a location in which enemies stepping on it will be poisoned for 75 damage over 5 seconds and give her a notification on the screen. However, it is typically used as a warning to know when enemies are nearby, and it can be destroyed. Note that if your spider mine is triggered while you are nearby, you will also take the poison damage as well. Her ultimate ability allows her and her entire team to see enemies through walls for a limited amount of time. This is important because it allows you and your team to set up shots before enemies come around corners. Alright, so let's first go over Temple of Anubis. Note that I'm in a skirmish game and custom mode, so I can decrease the cooldowns just so I can get to places quickly and show you where everything is. So the first place I want to talk about is up on this ledge right here. This ledge will allow you to pretty much scope in on the enemy before they even get out of their spawn area. Note that these doors will be closed, and when they open, if the Reinhardt isn't having a shield up, you can pretty much get a headshot on anybody when they come out. You can also look on the right side to see if anybody's coming around, and you can drop a spider mine below to poison anybody that's coming up the ramp. Usually you want to stay in this little corner here because it gives you most cover and you can not be seen easily by other Widowmakers or snipers. Usually you would also have a mercy boosting you behind and giving you a damage boost so then you can get as much damage out as possible. So if you're starting to lose this part and you want to pull back, you can actually go onto this area which is directly above the point in which it's supposed to be captured. This location allows you to see enemies that are passing through under the ledge and also any Widowmakers or Hanzos directly above it trying to take you out as well. The enemy will typically be going to the right side, so you want to make sure that you have this area covered as well because that's where they'll be coming out of. They'll also be coming through the left side as well, and they can come out through this top entrance and peek at you. When looking at this point area though, you want to make sure that you're covered on the right side and use the wall as cover. You can also use a spider mine to put behind you and make sure that enemies are not going to be attacking you behind as well. But when they do, you want to make sure you turn around and take care of them. You also have full view of the entire point, and this makes it really easy for you to pick off anybody. Once the first point is captured, there's one area that you can easily get to help defend. Now at this location, you want to be looking through the main entrance and also the left side as well. Make sure that when you're looking at one location, you are covered by the other, and you can use this pillar as the cover because you do not want to be attacked from 2 areas at one time. This is a typically dangerous area because you can be shot from directly below and it is pretty wide open where you have not much cover. So if that happens, you can pull back onto this ledge area here and you can get a full view of the left side and see any enemies coming through this area. You also want to make sure that you look a little bit higher and you don't get picked off by any Widowmakers that are trying to counter you. You can also look on top of the ledge you were at before from this area and also the main entrance. This is a pretty good location to give you a good vantage point on everything that's going on. So if you see anybody also going to the right side, you can quickly go to this area, put a spider mine in front of you, and snipe anybody coming through this entrance. If you want a more direct view of anything coming through the main entrance, you can snipe from here as well. Now, if you're on offense and you want to take out the defensive Widowmaker, this is a good spot to take them out from. You can see them from afar, and usually they're too busy taking care of everything else. However, a good Widowmaker will keep eyes on this area and try to take you out. Another good spot on offense is this top area right here. It gives you a good vantage point of the entire area and allows you to take out turrets and any other weak people. You gotta make sure to watch out for defensive Widowmakers in this area though. They typically like to stand there. And one last point is not known by many people. It's on this top right ledge over here, and most of the time other people will not notice you and you can get free shots on anybody coming out of the entrance. However, you want to make sure that the Widowmaker here is taken out first. As you can see, it also gives you a wide open view of the entire area. Next is King's Row. There are actually a lot of different angles that you can snipe from on this map. A very unused spot that you can snipe at the entrance of their spawn is here on the statue. You can actually peek between the two statues and get a really good pick off on anybody sniping from the top, such as an offensive Widowmaker or Hanzo. A little more popular spot is back behind you to the left on the ledge. Now you want to put a spider mine on the stairs so you know when your enemies are coming through that direction. But this ledge allows you to see the top as well as the ground when enemies are coming through that passageway. You also want to make sure not to get picked off on the left side through that doorway because enemies can come from there as well. Now if you want to retreat, you can retreat back up to this part of the ledge and you can still get a really good view of everything that's going on. Further back, you can also go through this corridor and have a big overview of the control point. You can also take care of these two doorways where the enemies sometimes come out of as well. However, you want to have eyes on your left side or at least a spider mine to notify you when enemies are coming. You can also look from this point as well. Now, if your opponent has secured the payload, you can back off onto this ledge and you can snipe from this point. This gives you a straight shot down the corridor which they're going to be coming from, but you want to make sure that your top left is covered. A lot of offensive Widowmakers and Pharahs like to shoot from here. Directly to your right is going to be a room in which your enemies can go from below and come up the stairs. And on your left, your enemies can also come from here by going through that passageway onto your left. So you want to put a spider mine in either of these locations to make sure that you're covered in one of the areas at least. As the payload pushes farther out, you can actually hook onto this ledge and get a straight shot down to where enemies would have been shooting you from the top ledge before. If they were in that top corridor, they would be exiting out through this area. Not only that, you have eyes on the payload as it comes through. A little further back, you can jump onto this vent and get a pretty good eye on the payload, as well as anybody coming through the left side. You also want to be careful of this top right room. A lot of enemies like to come through there. If enemies manage to get below you, they can come up the stairs from behind, so put a spider mine there as well. Now further back a little bit more, this is the last spot that you can snipe from. It is a very popular spot, so you want to make sure not to get picked off. However, it is still a good spot as it gives you a good overview of everything. Now on offense, you would normally be sniping from the inside of the spawn. As you can see, you can pretty much have eyes on the entire area. This will allow you to not only snipe other Widowmakers, but also other potential targets. After sniping your targets, you can move to the left corridor and snipe from here as well. This will allow you to snipe anybody that's trying to bombard the entrance.
Allez, montre-toi.
You can also snipe from the other angle as well. Once your team has secured the payload, you can snipe from this window. However, you want to make sure to take care of any Widowmakers or any Hanzos that are on the ledge over there. From this window, you can actually hook onto this balcony and snipe from here. This will give you a good view over the payload. When you get close to the last payload area, you can snipe from this window here. This gives you a quite different angle that you can pick off enemies from. After that, you can also jump on this ledge and snipe from this area, or directly snipe the entrance. Alright, let's move on to Hanamura. Now, there are only a few spots on Hanamura that are actually viable as Widowmaker. One spot is on top of a ledge right on top of the control point. You can stand here and put a spider mine next to the window and see if anybody is coming in through there as well. Not only that, you can see the entrance and anybody else that's going through the left side. However, if anybody makes it through the right side, you want to make sure to watch your back from this area as well. They can either come up the stairs or they can come up through this entrance here. On the other side, you can situate yourself here to have more cover. You still see the entrance and also the right window as well. If the enemy is getting closer to you, you can even move further back and still get a good view of the area. However, you want to keep eyes on the entrance to see if anybody is going through the left side. If you see anybody going through this area, you want to make sure you watch your top left entrance. If your opponent managed to take the first point, you can use your hook and stay in this area for a while to watch if anybody wants to come through the back way. Most of the time, people will try to find ways around and try to sneak through here. If there is little or no activity, you can use your hook and grab up to this area and get a good vantage point of the entire last part. The left entrance there will lead to an exit that's on your level as well. You want to make sure to watch that if anybody comes through. You can also drop down one level and see the garden as well. The best spot to watch the entire room is from directly on top of the point. You can pretty much see through all directions and doorways and get anybody that's coming through each and every one of them. However, you don't have much cover, so you want to be careful. This last spot is also pretty decent as well. You can see all the entrances on the right, and you can just put a spider mine behind you to let you know if anybody is coming from behind. However, it's going to be really hard for you to shoot anybody that's coming from the entrance below you. Now let's talk about sniping on Hanamura as offense. Now there really isn't much to talk about except for this area right here. You can try to pick off the Widowmaker that's on top of the ledge, or you can try to pick her off on the other side as well. This is pretty much the only area that's useful for sniping on offense. As you try to go through the main entrance or even through the window, you can be taken out from all directions, and it means that you're really weak as Widowmaker. You can try and take the position of the defensive Widowmaker, however, if you're already here, your team probably already has the point. Now, the last viable position that I can tell is from this top of the roof. You can see the direct spawn that they're coming from on the left side only, but that's about it. Trying to go through any other entrance as Widowmaker will make you really, really vulnerable. So it's pretty much not advised to use Widowmaker as offense on Hanamura. Next is Watchpoint Gibraltar. Once you are able to get on top of this spot, this is a very good place to snipe from. It gives you a really good view of the starting area. Now, if you want to drop a spider mine at the entrance from this area, all you have to do is aim your crosshair at that little corner and shoot your spider mine. If you want to be more defensive with your spider mine, you can place it on the stairs on your right side to let you know when enemies are coming from the right. To get an even better vantage point, you can actually hook up to the top of this ball. However, you are very vulnerable from all directions. You can try and crouch to make yourself less visible. Note that your enemy can come from the top and also snipe from there as well. Now, if you look at the ground level, this entrance here is where enemies will be coming through, and they will come up from the top in this area. Enemies coming from along this walkway on top will come out through this other exit. So if you see any enemies dashing through one of these exits, make sure to line up your shot at the correct exit. After being pushed back, you can snipe from this area. This will give you a good view of anybody coming up the staircase, as well as the exits you were looking at before. Note that the payload will be coming through this lower corridor and you can snipe anybody on it as well. Further back, you can get into this location and use the box as cover. This will give you full view of the room on the left, as well as provide a lot of cover. You will also be able to peek at the exits on top as well. It is very useful for you to get used to crouching and peeking while sniping at the same time. This will allow you to make use of the cover. However, if you want to snipe the payload while it is still underneath, you can snipe from here. While sniping from this area, putting a spider mine in the room next to you will allow you to give you time to react from enemies coming from below. Once you receive the notification, you should line up your shot and get an easy headshot. For even more cover, you can also pull back through this corridor. Now this spot is very useful and annoying to your opponent. Once you hook up onto the plane, you have view of all 4 entrances into this room. Take note that once the door opens, the payload will pass through this as well. Most of the time, when your enemy knows you are up here, they will try to come and get you off of it as soon as possible. So make sure to prepare your aim for anybody trying to come up or find a way to escape. From this area, you have a good view of the 2 right doors. This is a good spot as it allows you to have cover from your left side. This spot near the plane is not very well known. With good timing and reflexes, you can get a lot of kills here. It is a very small entrance to shoot through, but with your ultimate, you should be able to time shots perfectly. Now you can actually go onto the other side of the plane and shoot from here as well. You have a pretty good view of the front area, and you can pretty much get anybody that's coming through it. Farther back, you can actually hook up to this area and get a good view of the payload coming through. You want to make sure to keep eyes on the top area, as well as the right, as enemies can come from those locations too. However, if the enemy team has a Pharah, you want to be careful because the rockets will hit the wall behind you and deal damage. If the payload has pushed farther through, you can jump onto this area over here and defend from this location. You want to make sure to put a spider mine on the stairs as well to make sure you're notified. This top ledge here is also a good spot, as it provides you with a lot of cover. Also, if the payload has passed through, you can also snipe the enemies from behind. Now for Watchpoint Gibraltar on offensive, you can actually snipe from the entrance as well. However, you want to make sure to get rid of any defensive snipers before you engage any other opponents. This is a very dangerous area because you can be seen from pretty much almost all sides. You want to make sure to get rid of any Widowmakers on top of the ball. You can also snipe from the lower level as well. You have a little bit more cover. However, when transferring to this box, you want to make sure not to get shot by any Widowmakers at that popular spot there. Once you reach this box, you want to make sure to take them out if they are still hanging around that area. Once you and your team have the payload moving, you can actually snipe from this top walkway as well. You can actually snipe the doorway at the entrance of the other room. If any Widowmaker is using that area to snipe, you can take them out pretty easily. However, the box can get in the way, and if they know that you're shooting at them, they can find cover. So you want to make sure that the first shot is a kill. This walkway on top as well is a really good place to snipe from. You can pretty much see everything in the room, and you can have cover as well. Moving further to the right, you can snipe opposing Widowmakers behind the box, as well as get a good view of the room. Getting into the next room as Widowmaker is going to be tough if your opposing team also has a Widowmaker watching the entrances. However, if you're able to get on top of the airship, you can use this as a vantage point as well. You can see the doorway onto the left, as well as onto the right at different angles, and catch anybody that's coming in. You can also use this area with the boxes on the left to get a straight shot onto the left corridor. you can also see the right door from this area as well. When you and your team have the payload moving through the next area, you want to make sure to check the most popular spots for other Widowmakers. Coming from below will give you the most cover. Once your payload has started moving through the area, you can actually snipe from here and get anybody that is trying to cover the last part. Moving further up, you can snipe from here at the entrance as well. Alright, that's it for part 1 of this Widowmaker guide. I used many of these spots myself and I found them to be the most useful. I'll be posting part 2 soon and also be adding to the video as more maps are added. I want to thank you guys for watching and I'll catch you guys in the next video. Peace.